Y'all, how cute is this mug?
Sweater weather, crunchy leaves, and pumpkin spice everything.
Hey garden friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a video that I've been wanting to do for a while and just haven't gotten around to doing it. I wanted to do a video that I felt like was really necessary because I feel like I don't see like simple videos like this. Today what we're going to be covering is unique broadleaf evergreens. I feel like when people think of evergreens, they think of boxwood. And look, I'm not like hating on boxwood, but I just figured that if you guys were looking for something that was a little bit more unique, delivered a little bit more color into your garden, and was still an evergreen and lasted all year long, that this would be a good video for you guys to reference. I also wanted to go ahead and put this out there because fall is a really great time to plant, and obviously the more evergreens we put into our garden now is gonna pay off in the winter as well. So okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I do have my computer here so that I can read off some specs to you guys for each plant that I'm going to be mentioning. I'm also going to include all of the links in my description for these plants. I really wanted to make sure that I listed plants in my video that you guys could order online. Even though it is probably a little more expensive to order online, I know that it can be super frustrating for some people who live in areas that may not have direct access to garden centers to be able to have stuff that they can order online. I know that that's a frustration for me. I always super appreciate when other YouTubers do that for me, so I wanted to do that for you guys. So the first plant I'm going to mention is a Loropetalum, or a Loropetalum, I think is what it's called. Okay, forgive me guys if I don't pronounce these words right, but obviously I'm still getting into all of this and I'm not completely sure how to pronounce everything. But the first one that I'm going to be covering today is a Loropetalum. And I think these plants, I've seen them at garden centers, I've seen them in landscape, like especially commercial landscape, but I don't feel like a lot of people mention them on YouTube. And I don't know if like I'm behind the times and maybe they're like overused or something like that, but I think these are gorgeous. They're these beautiful purple foliaged evergreen plants. They grow from like mid-size to small, so you can get like a mid-size one, but you can also get like a dwarf, and they actually have one that is like has a weeping habit that you can put in containers, which I think is really pretty. They also do bloom like a bright fuchsia pink, and I think that the fact that they're evergreen, they have gorgeous foliage, and they give you flowers is like just amazing. I mean, I can't believe that more people don't use these. So the one that I'm going to feature today is called the Purple Diamond Semi-Dwarf Loropetalum. I think it's Loropetalum, and I keep saying Loropetalum, so I'm sorry if that's not right. Loropetalum. That's the one I wanted to feature today, and it grows in full sun to part shade, and it's also hardy from zone 7 to 10. I don't know why this is considered a dwarf because it says that it's 4 to 6 feet high and 4 to 5 feet wide. That to me is not a small shrub. That's a pretty decent sized shrub, which actually I'm not mad about. I love that it takes up a good amount of space because I just think that it's just so pretty. I mean, you guys can see on the screen, it's this gorgeous purple color. I just love that. Anyway, so I really love this plant. I definitely think that it gives you a lot of bang for your buck. It looks like it flowers in the spring. It needs about a medium amount of water, but another thing is that it's deer resistant, which I know if any of you guys live like near an area where you have a lot of deer or a lot of forest around you, this is like crucial, especially up in the mountains. I feel like we live in the mountains, but we live in more of a like not commercial, but a more of a populated area, so we definitely have them, but they're not as big of an issue as it is when you get out to some of the more rural areas. But I know that my dad lives in a little bit more of a mountainous region, and they struggle with it so bad. They eat everything. So I hope you guys like that plant. If you want to check it out, like I said, the link is in the description. Okay, the next one that I'm going to talk about, actually, I found out about through a friend, and I really want to go up there and film a video with her because we are kind of like garden friends. They just bought a house in this past year, and she started to plant up her front garden beds, and we've talked a ton about what she was going to do and like what she was going to plant. And she found this particular plant that I had never heard of, and it's called a Kaleidoscope Abelia. And oh my gosh, you guys, it is so pretty. It has the most gorgeous foliage. It also blooms with these really cute little white flowers that apparently smell pretty good. But it says that the kaleidoscope is versatile as it is colorful with chameleon-like foliage that changes with seasons from golden yellow in spring to orange red in the fall. So I love that it changes colors, especially to orange red in the fall, because it's like it fits in with your spring landscape, but it also fits in fall too, which I feel like is tough. For me, I love dark, rich jewel tones in the fall, but I'm not as much into them in the spring. I tend to like more of the lime greens, more of the fresh colors, more of like the pastels and stuff like that. So the fact that it changes to orange red and then goes back is a huge plus in my book. This one as well is full sun to part shade. It's hardy from zone 6 to 9, and it's a little bit smaller. It gets 2.5 feet wide and about 3.5 feet. Oh, I'm sorry. It gets 2.5 feet high and 3.5 feet wide. This one's deer resistant as well. It needs about a medium amount of water, and it doesn't say this on the website, but with her, from what she told me, she has really thick clay soil like me, and she said, and her abelias have done great. So if you have clay or poor soil, I feel like these would do really well. The only thing I would watch out, because it does say that it needs a medium amount of water, if you guys have like super well draining soil, you might have to add in a little bit just to retain some more moisture for it when you plant it in your garden. Okay, the next one that I'm going to highlight is the Variegated Winter Daphne. So this one reminds me of a rhododendron, honestly. And we have rhododendrons. They actually grow naturally here where I live, up in the mountains. I wonder if they actually were like transplanted and they've taken over. I wonder what the history is behind that. But we see mountain laurels all the time up where I live. And so that's what this reminds me of, but it has pink flowers that are in these like little balls, which I think are really cute. So it says they're beautiful rosy pink flower buds that open to white, sweetly fragrant flowers in winter and early spring. Y'all, I can't. These flower in winter. Okay, I didn't even know that. I thought that they flowered in like the spring or something, which they do, but that is super cool. That's why it's called Winter Daphne, obviously, because it flowers like in winter. That's super cool. Okay, so the specs on this one, it looks like it is hardy from zone 7 to 9, water regularly weekly or more often in extreme heat. Reaches 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. That's not too bad. It looks like it says Daphne is ideal for north and east facing beds against walls and around patios and decks. It needs partial shade to filtered sun. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's really pretty, you guys. I feel like I'm gonna say this, but I want one of these now too. It's so hard because while we're renting and we don't have a house, like I want to buy pretty much everything that I see. But I just don't like have the space. I genuinely do not have the space for everything. Okay, number 4. Now this one I'm super excited about. This is more of a low growing one if I'm understanding correctly, but this is Kramer's Red Winter Heath. So apparently it creates a ground cover and it's good for like a mounding evergreen shrub. Now what's crazy is these bloom in winter as well. Yeah, it looks like they bloom all the way through winter, which is kind of crazy. It says they last through early spring. I am just like feeling this color. You know what those blooms remind me of? They remind me of the Pieris, which I'm actually going to mention later in this video too. But that's what it reminds me of. Can you imagine? This would be just such a bright spot in your garden. And they're hardy from zone 6 to 8, and it looks like they need rocky, unimproved soil, so poor soil, and they need very little care, which is like a huge plus in my book. It needs partial to full sun, and it looks like it grows 1 foot tall and 3 feet wide. Yeah, I'm really into this plant, you guys. I'm gonna need this one. Okay, number 5. So this one I just found out about today when I was doing some research for this video. This one is a Cleyera, and actually Jim Putnam came up when I googled this type of plant, and he planted a couple of them in his garden too. So I'll go ahead and card his video in case he talks a little bit. I didn't watch the whole video. I do plan on going back and watching it, but in case he talks more about like their care and stuff like that, because he definitely knows way more than I do. But this one is a Romeo Clara, and it looks really pretty. It reminds me of the Kaleidoscope Abelia too. It has that same kind of like presence, I guess. It says full sun to part shade, zone 7 to 10B, and this one's huge. So that's the difference too. So if you have like a smaller garden or like you don't need as big of a plant, this one is probably not a good one. The Abelia would be a good option, but if you're looking for something that's more of like a hedge or a border, this would be a great option. This one gets 8 to 10 feet tall and 5 to 6 feet wide. So this one's a big one. I shouldn't have made my hands like that. Oh my gosh. It also looks like they have some other really pretty variations on here too. So definitely check this out and check out the other ones. Like they have like a lime green one. It looks like they have another one that's more a little bit whiter and not as like colorful. Okay, number 7, we finally come full circle. So this is actually one that I don't have this variety, but I wanted to highlight this variety because it's so cool, and I thought this one would be just a really good one to highlight, but I like mine too. This is the Valley Valentine Pieris. I can't say it, it's a tongue twister, but it is Pieris, and it has pink blooms, whereas the one I have a Japanese Pieris and it has white blooms. I still love it. It's also, I think, referred to as the lily of the valley shrub because it the blooms kind of look like lily of the valley bulbs. Mine are actually already setting their buds for next spring. I noticed that the other day. But I just think that this pink is so pretty, you guys. And the buds are really pretty too. It's not like just the flowers. As soon as they start setting their buds, it just gives this like little pop of red. If you're not a big red person or like fuchsia pink person, this might not be good. You might want to go with the white one. And it looks like the ones that I have, the Japanese Pieris, actually have more, like, they have more exciting foliage, but not as exciting blooms. So kind of depends on what you're looking for. This one needs partial sun as well, and that's where I have mine planted, and they've done super well. They are slow growing. They do grow up to 5 to 7 feet tall and wide, so they do get really big, but I will say that it would probably take them a long time to do that and probably be easy to keep them pruned down to a fairly moderate size. Oh, this one's another winter bloomer. Oh my goodness. That makes sense though, because I went and got these from my friend when it was super early spring and they had blooms on them. They must be a long bloomer too, because they were blooming because it was, I think, maybe March when I got them, and I feel like that's a really long blooming one. It says it does need regular watering weekly or more often in extreme heat, but I will say that I did not water mine a ton through the winter. Through the summer. And with ours, they've done super well without that. And we have pretty extreme heat. I wouldn't say as extreme as like, it's not a desert region. Obviously, we live in the south up towards the mountains, but we got up to, we get over, 100. Not often, but right around 190s for long stretches of time, and I didn't water them super regularly, and they did pretty good. So I would say if you get above 100 pretty regularly, then maybe you should think about it more, but we also do get regular rainfall too, so I guess it just depends on your climate. Okay, last but not least, number 7.
Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in here because I realized as I went back to edit this video that I did not say the name of this plant, which is so crazy. But anyway, it's the Nandina Firepower.
This one is another one that I do have in my garden, and it is really pretty, and I'm super happy with how it's done. Mine, actually, I was really mean to. I bought mine in the end of October. This was the first year that I tried to start gardening. This was like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. We had just moved here, and I went to the garden center, found these, and the guy said that he would give them to me for half off. And they didn't do super well. They actually were dropping their leaves pretty bad this spring, and I was like, something is not right. I don't think that they're doing super well. It was like early spring when they were dropping their leaves, so I went ahead and transplanted them into a different space. So stressed them out even more, and they've actually rebounded really well, and they look a whole heck of a lot better. So I would say these guys are seriously super hardy. The fact that it survived getting planted way too late in the season, super cold, at least for us here in our climate, super cold weather, and then being transplanted the next spring, I feel like is testament to how hardy and resilient these guys are. They're hardy through zone 6 through 11, which I feel like is a really good spread considering. And they turn this bright like red and maroon color and orange in the fall, which is why they're called firepower. And they do best in full sun. I have mine in part sun and they've done fine, but they're definitely not as big as some other people's firepowers that I've seen in full sun. But I think that they're resilient in part sun as well. As long as they get like a good 4 hours of sun, I would feel like they do pretty well. So the growth rate is moderate. They reach 30 inches tall and wide. They are definitely a little smaller, a little dwarf, but they're definitely great for like closer to your border, just to add like a highlight of color, especially in the winter. They do need, exactly like I said, about once a week watering. These don't bloom, but I honestly think that the foliage makes up for it. They're just so cute to me, and I think that they're really, really low maintenance plants that I don't think you can go wrong with. Okay guys, so that is it for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed just kind of like getting a couple of new and maybe some evergreens that you hadn't heard of. I know I enjoyed doing research, and I definitely ended up with a pretty long wish list for like this next year. I'm super excited to kind of see what goes on sale and what I can snag either this fall or in the spring. But I hope you guys have some good ideas. Definitely let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and if you have some go-to evergreens that you really like in your landscape, please put them down in the comments, because it doesn't only help me, which it definitely does, but it also helps other people who are watching this video so that they can go and take a look at what other gardeners like have found worked for them. Okay guys, otherwise that is it. Happy fall. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.